Welcome to Safest Truck. Safest Truck is powered by LogRock, the only digital tool built exclusively to help America's trucking companies stay compliant and stand strong when the DOT or lawsuits come knocking at your door.
All right, so this week we have with us Alex Baker and Matt Giardina from the law firm MG&M. One of the hottest topics in the industry and something I think everyone wants to, or at least needs to learn more about, are nuclear verdicts.
I say a nuclear verdict is anything, over $1 million. It's certainly anything it carries insurance coverage. So you're definitely in nuclear territory when the principals of the company itself are selling out money because, their primary and excess coverage is exhausted. I think a number of people are becoming aware. A number of our clients are becoming aware of the issue, but there's also a hesitance to admit that, the nuclear verdict is not just the one-off, in Florida or in Texas that you hear in the news. And a lot of our folks that we deal with have a sense that, we already have insurance coverage, so we're going to be okay. Or they believe that the facts of the nuclear verdict case are such that those facts don't apply to them. They're doing everything right. They're in compliance, and they're not going to be surprised down the road, and they feel that they have a certain insulation when it comes to litigation.
Are they immune? Are they completely protected against this?
There is no immunity. There's no vaccine for the nuclear verdict. The nuclear verdict arise usually because something small has festered, and plaintiffs are able to latch on to a compelling story, and the jurors accept that story.
Help me understand, what do the mechanics of that look like? Like, how does that actually shake out in court or in litigation? If there are some examples you can share, or...
I think it's important to distinguish between the type of damages that are being awarded. In verdicts, you have economic damages and non-economic damages. So economic damages are, they're able to be calculated. So how much his medical expenses were, how much income he's lost because your driver was injured or the person who was hit, how long have they been out of work? Where you're seeing the nuclear verdicts is in non-economic damages, which are kind of up to the jury to calculate. It varies from jurisdiction, but these large verdicts, nuclear verdicts you're seeing are coming on the non-economic, more punitive damages. So what plays out, I think what we're seeing is, these trucking companies, they need to hire somebody. So they are doing their compliance and they aren't going through the steps that they need to in checking backgrounds on drivers. So when a plaintiff attorney finds in discovery that this person has been cited before for non-compliance or doesn't have their licensing up to date, that is played out by plaintiffs to the jurors to instill fear in the jurors that these drivers are out there. So they're not thinking rationally when they make these very large nuclear verdicts that we've been seeing. I think a lot of times what happens is they put their insurance in place. They think the insurance carrier, will completely take care of this. I don't need to worry about anything. This is why I have the insurance. And they don't really understand that, yes, you need to have that insurance in place, but you also need to understand the compliance so that you can help your attorneys as much as possible in preparing your discovery responses, in responding to discovery, and preparing to take depositions, including their own. So I think, out of sight, out of mind is kind of the first thought. And then they quickly start to realize that they do need to be seriously involved in the litigation process.
Yeah, I think, Hunter, it starts with your compliance from day one, right? What is your system to make sure that your weight is within acceptable regs? What is your system to make sure that your drivers have their regular drive testing, that the background checks are complete? And you have that system, you stick with that system unless it's not working, and you continually check in with all those safeguards, and you start building your good company story from the date you put out your ad for I want a driver, and you track everything. That's really at the heart of compliance, is what information do I have? Because if I can master this information, if I can be the master of my own information, then I can communicate effectively what I did and or what I expected and what I knew and when. So that will go so far in avoiding the situation where you're being confronted because you have a weight violation, which is, completely unrelated to the traffic accident that you may or may not have caused.
So I need a strong system in place to make sure that I am the master of my own data. It sounds like it's a data problem. Is that right?
Being the master of your own data, if you can package this off and in one click send it to defense counsel, you are ahead of the game in light years ahead of the game.
Yeah, I think the importance is not only collecting and keeping the data, it's also organizing it in a way that it's easily findable or searchable. Because, I think our biggest issue in terms of litigation is when the companies, they start off rather small, they have 20 tractor trailers, but then as they successfully grow their business over the years, to 100, 200 size fleet, litigation becomes more serious. And the people you had in place earlier, you want to be loyal to them, but they're in over their heads and they've lost the ability to organize it properly. And I can't tell you how many times there's been, you've gone through what you thought is everything, and then they find, a storage closet where there's a bunch of different boxes or something like that.
Is that it's not just important for the top higher ups or the risk management department to have an understanding of what's needed to defend these cases. It needs to be a top to bottom approach. In my scenario, the driver acted appropriately, the dispatcher acted appropriately, and that helped the risk manager perform his job at this company. And then in the end, really save the company a lot of money.
We've seen this with our clients and folks we work with on a day-to-day basis, even if they've completely digitized, even if there's nothing left on paper. And all right, Alex and Matt, this has been absolutely fascinating. We really appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Hunter.